G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in over on the west side of the map, we have DeMuslim playing as the Chinese. The map is Hillendale and his opponent, who spawned in on the east side of the map, Lidicor. Who is it?
It is Magic, also playing as the Chinese, with an identical opening compared to the Muslim, both of them going for that early mill. And holy potatoes, that's a fast survival techniques here for Magic, not something that we see every day.
I like this a lot. So for anybody who is unfamiliar with the current status of this, if you're watching this on YouTube, I encourage you, if you don't want to have the previous game spoiled, because that game has already been played, this is the second game, mute your video right now. DeMuslim was victorious in the first game. Magic, obviously this is his home map. He's coming into this game, and he has prepared a strategy. And it looks like this is going to be it, going for super fast survival techniques.
Indeed. Now, when it comes to survival techniques, that's going to cost you 100 gold, which means that you are almost guaranteed to be mining gold. It can work out nicely because if you think about it, you already have a supervised mill to drop off extra food. You have the hunt going on, which is the fastest source of food available right now anyways. And you have the villagers working with survival techniques, so your food income is going to be absolutely crazy here. However, you just sacrificed all your gold. And even with the tax collector collecting a lot of tax here because you get a lot of resources dropped off, it might be difficult to get the gold needed for a fast feudal age without mining some. So you're gonna have a great food eco, but you're almost guaranteed to be mining gold as well alongside this.
Yeah, I absolutely love this build order. And it's sort of, in my opinion, I've got a certain theory about how this is going to go, and I'll explain to you how I think it will go. Let's see if I'm right. So, Magic has managed to obviously research survival techniques. It means he's probably going to have to put down a gold mine at some point here. My suspicion is that he's going to go for a fast dynasty and then maybe look for a second or a third town center after that. And the reason why is because typically as China, you want to avoid putting down that early mining camp. You don't really need it. It's not particularly important. But if you are going to put that down, you might as well take advantage of it and really play into that strength. So
I love how Magic is coming in with his scout, killing the predators of his opponent. It's like, if he was Rus, I would understand this, but it kind of actually helps.
No.
Here because
it's really bad for him because now it's much more walking distance that he's going to have to do. So typically, DeMuslim would want to round those up with the villager. You can just send out the villager and scare them out towards the mill. But he's actually come in close, pushed the deer away from the mill, and then killed them far away. So it's very, very annoying for DeMuslim because, like, sure, it definitely helps him, but at the same time, he hurts him a lot more, in my opinion.
Yeah, it actually takes less time for the Muslim to get that deer killed because he doesn't have to worry about killing it, just walking out there. But as you said, now the distance is tiny bit larger. I think it comes down to whether or not one player actually rounds up the deer because some players don't really do that. They just let the villagers walk out. If you don't do that, it actually helps that your opponent kills the deer for you. If you're actually one of those players that likes to push in the deer close to the mill, then indeed it's a little annoying. As you said, the fast dynasty is an option here for Magic, and usually when it comes to Chinese, it comes down to basically the order of things. Are you going for fast dynasty and only then drop 2 town centers, or are you dropping 2 town centers first, then dynasty? Or maybe even you're going for a fast castle and then you're going for a 1 TC Song dynasty play. So the elements are given, it's just the order at which you are using them.
Yes, I've got to agree with you. And I think that opening a dynasty is definitely a safe route. But on Hillendale, you kind of know what your opponent's up to. I mean, like, you can suspect there's going to be town centers involved. So I'm curious to see exactly how DeMuslim does play this out. He is actually walling up, which to me indicates that he's probably thinking big. Are we going to see the world's largest boom coming out from DeMuslim? I would really love to see like a 4 town center Song dynasty boom. I don't think I've ever seen 4 TC Song dynasty. Do we see that this game?
I feel like that's a great way to lose the game, simply because there is no way that you would have enough food for 4 TC Song dynasty. 4 TC Song dynasty is, like, and you don't even need that. Like, 3 TC Song dynasty is actually faster.
You're ruining my dreams right now, Lidicor. But yeah, I agree with you, yes. Yeah, that is one thing to note. Yeah, 2 TC Song Dynasty feels like enough. I've watched Marine Lord stream a fair bit. He sometimes does do 3 TC Song Dynasty, but 4 TC Song Dynasty, yeah, alright. Maybe my dreams are a little bit too high. But you know what they say? They say reach for the stars, Lidicor, and you still might hit the moon one day.
Now, it's worth noting that Iron Magic is going for extended walls on the right side. It has its pros and cons, but I actually like what he's doing.
Yep.
This is a bigger investment right now for him, but it secures a patch of huntables, secures a patch of berries, so there's going to be a lot of extra food to work with, which helps a lot with the boom, because, as you said, the amount of town centers is not capped, the amount of food you have is, so technically the only thing that prevents a 6 town center Song Dynasty boom is the amount of food that you're able to get, and making all of those town centers work consistently.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It really is the primary difference, but yeah, the village are going to be up towards the north. Actually going to be running into a wolf here. Got to be a little bit careful. That's going to go off. I'm going to switch over the perspective so I don't actually have to hear that annoying alarm going off as Magic now looks to clean that one off. We'll clean that one up, but Demuslim going to be dropping down that second town center, nice and close to his starting town center. And he's shifting over to gold now, so only 2 villages on wood remaining, no villages on stone. So looking to go for a 2-town center fast castle, most likely.
Both players were able to get quite a lot of sheep working for them, especially the Muslim. He has to be happy with like 10 sheep close to that mill. That's going to help a lot with food income. Magic finishes the walls. And one thing that we haven't talked about yet is that how this map looks like. Notice that there is only one big patch of trees in this dale area. So this map is actually very, very limited on wood. And we have seen that before with Chinese. The Chinese bombards are extremely powerful late game, and you need 2 things for that, gold and wood. Gold is usually not a problem, surprisingly, because you got a lot of it on this map. But wood could be a problem for either players here.
Yeah, that is a really good point. One of the things I would just like to point out is this is one of the consequences of survival techniques is actually happening right now. Have a look how late this second town center is coming in for Magic. It's 6 minutes 50 at this point. Now, I don't know about you, but you drop this down at 6 minutes 40. The best Chinese build orders right now, or the fastest, I should say, don't actually rely on deer. You can just do it off sheep, and you can get that second town center down at 4:45. So this second town center is coming 2 minutes late. 6 villages could have been created in this time. So I'm curious to see whether Magic is really going to be looking to sort of extend this out a bit further. But do note, Demuslim's had his second town center up for quite a while here. He is already heading into that dynasty as well. He's got 5 villages on the Imperial Academy and plenty of villages queued up in the town center as well. So he's going to be quite far ahead when it comes to his village account.
It is 29 for our Magic and 33 for the Muslim. And as you said, the dynasty is just now in. That's also going to affect the tax income. And notice how the Muslim is doing the exact same type of voting as Magic is. That's pretty much the identical situation there with all that hunt and berries close to that lower area. But I have some good news because Magic has been very, very active on the stone mining even after that second town center. So I wonder if it's for stone walls or he's thinking about the third town center. And there's the answer. It's the third town center up on the north. So your dreams are not completely ruined yet.
Yeah, third town center is... it's looking pretty good at this point in time. I mean, 3 TC Song Dynasty. He has stopped gathering stone, so we're not going to see 4 town centers today. But hey, you know what, Lidical? I'll take 3. 3's not a bad deal.
3 town centers with the Song Dynasty actually produces villagers faster than the Palace of Swabia for the Holy Roman Empire, but obviously the food cost is much, much higher. Dynasty building now coming in, nice position for Magic. It's going to affect the lumber camp, the mill, and your mining camp. Obviously, when you place that Imperial Palace, you want that mill to be incorporated because that's the heart and soul of your food economy. That's where you're dropping off most of your food. That's what's going to be supervised all day, all night by that Imperial officer. So that's where you would be getting most of your tax gold income from anyways. Might as well boost that with the Imperial Academy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he's got a really good position in here. The fact that he's able to get the lumber camp, but he's just built a second lumber camp, and it looks like it's just outside the reach of the Imperial Academy. So a little bit unfortunate timing there for him. But take a look over at the front of his opponent's base right now. Demuslim, he might potentially be losing a villager at the moment as this scout looks to try and do plenty of damage out towards the front of the base.
Luckily for that villager, the scout takes forever to kill that Vil, and the Barbican of the Sun is close by, so Magic wasn't able to deny the walls, and both of these players are settling in for trench warfare. As you said, the Muslim had that second town center up faster, plus he also had the Dynasty faster, but he's only playing 2 TCs, whereas his opponent will play on 3, so Magic will have a villager advantage soon, but instead the Muslim decides to go for a castle age here with the clock tower. that could potentially allow him to start securing relics, because even though neither of these players are playing Holy Roman Empire, relics are still important.
Yeah, relics are still a huge part. And in fact, I've actually seen quite a fair bit of Chinese mirror matches. And even though the 3 TC Song Dynasty boom does sound crazy, and in theory it should beat the 2 TC Song Dynasty boom, 2 TC Song Dynasty boom is actually the best option in my opinion, just because of the tempo that it provides. So your economy isn't going to be that far behind the 3 TC boom, as long as you don't forget to keep making villages. But it's going to give you a lot more power in the mid game. As you mentioned, you're going to be able to get out on the map. You're going to be able to get those relics in, secure up sacred sites, and most importantly, begin to apply pressure to your enemy by getting palace guards out, start sieging down palisade walls, and then that's going to force them into a response that normally is suboptimal. So what do you mean? What do I mean by suboptimal? I mean things like crossbows, and that's exactly what we're actually seeing from Magic here. And the reason why they are not an optimal, they're not an optimal decision in my opinion, is because palace guards plus bombards are the composition that you're going to be winning games with.
For a moment, it looked like Magic is queuing up Jugenu, but then he just changed that into the Archer play. On the other side, the Muslim isn't messing around. He's opening up with a nest of bees here. There's only one scout inside his base.
Yeah, this is quite a nice move. So this is the theorized current Chinese composition. So spears slash spears slash palace guards plus nest of bees. 2 nest of bees now coming out for him as well and taking down that scout. I'm not sure if you watched that, but that poor scout got caught between a Barbican of the Sun, a town center, and a nest of bees. So it didn't have much luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, this started out just like a joke. A Barbican of the Sun, 2 nests of bees, and a town center walk into a bar.
Oh gosh. Still no survival techniques out for Demuslim, despite him looking to move out towards this second hunt quite early, but does have the wheelbarrow in. Now, wheelbarrow is one of those technologies that actually kind of hurts the Chinese as much as it helps them. It's very effective for farming, but it does reduce how much tax you're bringing in. So, unfortunately, the way that the Chinese taxation works, it doesn't actually store any integers. So the way that it works is if you've got 15, even if you've got 19 resources and you drop them off, you're still only going to be getting 1 tax gold for it. It's only once you've trickled up into up to 20 that it actually begins turning over. And the reason why that hurts Chinese is because if you supervise with an imperial official, it'll go from 15 up to 18, but they're still only going to be dropping off 1 tax a pop. So you do have kind of reduced tax, but I mean, tax isn't a particularly big mechanic. I think it's much easier, or much safer to be getting out that nice and early wheelbarrow, just because it really helps with your efficiency in the early game.
Absolutely, especially with the hunt being this far away from the mill. It probably compensates for that lack of tax income. Tax is a nice addition, but it's not the heart and soul of the Chinese economy. Speaking of economy, we have 81 villagers for the Muslim, 91 for Magic. So as you said, there is a tiny bit of an eco deficit here for the Muslim, but it's very, very small. And you see that he's consuming way less food to make villagers, and this allows him to potentially get a very nice Imperial timing here, or go for Yuan Dynasty, so both of those are options. Whereas on the other side, Magic is out of resources, so he's nowhere close to either of those.
Yeah, the big thing for me that sort of... The reason why I feel like it's more of a hindrance to go for 3 town centers is because, as you mentioned, even though Demuslim is behind by only a handful of villages, so 87 versus 99 or 98 at the time, so about 11 villages behind, you got to keep in mind that players work towards a villager cap. So you don't want to create 200 villages. It's not a race to 200 villages. I mean, you can do that if you want, but typically players are probably going to stop making villages around 130, 140 maybe in a game like this, and Demuslim is still going to be hitting that number. He's just going to be hitting it a little bit more delayed than his opponent, and you really got to ask the question, is it enough to make up for the fact that there was an entire 3rd town center that was invested in there? Is that difference going to be really that significant for the potential threat? But I mean, you got to be doing something different from your opponent if you want to stand out from the crowd. So I guess that's where Magic is coming in with the 3 TC boom. But yeah, I mean, real Chads go for 4 TCs. That's the truth.
one of the things I'm noticing here for the Muslim is that he's not using the villages of the Chinese. He's still dropping houses, which is a little awkward because in terms of wood efficiency, the villages are much better. It's 100 wood for 40 population as opposed to 50 wood for 10 population on a house. So once you get to Song Dynasty, you want to forget about houses and start dropping villages because it's a tiny bit more efficient. He also has 2 monasteries, but he wasn't making a single monk on either of those, as both sides are starting to mass army in hidden production buildings. Magic is going for the knights or lancers on the right side of his base, and on the other side we will have I think spearman coming in. Yeah, it's veteran spearman upgrade coming in for the Muslim, as he's also going up to Imperial with the Spirit Way.
Yeah, I really like this from DeMuslim, and I genuinely think this is the best composition that you can do at the moment. Spears with Nest of Bees are incredibly strong, and very curiously, Magic is yet to add in, at least not that I can see, any Springalds. So despite spotting out that there was a Nest of Bees that his opponent had made, yeah, he did not go into any form of Springalds, not even like a preemptive 1 or 2 or something like that. But now up towards the north, we've got Magic beginning to push through the blue walls of his opponent. The Muslim looking pretty strong at this point. Going to be able to hold off here, but you did mention he is obviously going up to the next age. Going to be dropping down a stone wall towards the north here, so he's exhausted the majority of the food up here. Obviously got that hunt, managed to take out most of the food off these berry bushes as well, but obviously they still do remain. But now he manages to get all of his villagers on the other side of that stone wall just in time, and he's going to be able to make it away without losing a single unit.
That was a very nice reaction over there. He has to give up on the berries and the Trollic, but luckily for him, the mobility of those knights won't count. He's actually going to make a gate on that side, but for him, obviously, the most important factor right now is getting those spearman numbers up high and getting some early bombards out, because currently there is no response from Magic to bombards.
Yeah, and you can actually see he's researching right now elite spears, and this is really what makes it so difficult to deal with this push, is because once you get up to the next age, you go straight into elite spears, and as you mentioned, go straight into bombards. What is the response there? There is almost no response. As long as the Muslim pulls maybe 7 or 8 villages with his initial, or with his push, begins mining stone, which is already done doing. So he is working towards a castle. He's going to be going for a forward castle, and then using those same villagers to be building the castle, and then at the same time healing the bombards. So it is really an incredibly strong death push, in my opinion, and it's so difficult to deal with. We'll take a look over at Magic's base, see how he's doing. Magic going to be going up with the Spirit Way himself, but keep in mind, this is exactly what we talked about. Even from Magic's perspective, if he somehow manages to get Springalds out, it's not going to matter because the bombards are going to be able to kill it. If he gets, like, he's got plenty of lancers out, but what's that going to do against Imperial or elite spears?
We got one Springald on the field to try and snipe the batch of Nest of Bees. Looks like Magic is going for a composition of Lancers and some Archers, some Jugen also mixed in here. Now he's up to Imperial, so things could get evened out, but he's still in the need of those upgrades.
Yes, it's very curious. Second Bombard now going to be coming out as well. Third Bombard now out. Does he? Do we dare see a fourth Bombard? And here are those villagers that are coming up. Or actually, they're just coming up towards the wood line. I thought he was coming out for the push now. He's probably going to need a few more spears before he actually really starts to get this push out and moving. You can see he's sitting on 155 population at the moment. What kind of upgrades do we have through for DeMuslim? Oh, we got Pyrotechnics coming in. Pyrotechnics going to be coming through for DeMuslim. I would expect Elite Army Tactics probably going to be coming through soon. Also going for his +1 upgrades as well. So not yet to get decarbonization or insulated helm or wedge rivets, but yeah, going to be full 111 upgrades for his spearmen at this point in time.
I love how he's supervising the university as well for those upgrades, so he can get that batch of upgrades, the pyrotechnics, the elite infantry tactics, very, very fast. And those type of power spikes help you a lot. So being able to mass your spearmen a little easier from a supervised barracks, or being able to get the upgrades in from the university a little faster with the supervising, is something that can help swing it in your favor, because you will have a bigger power spike to work with. Yeah,
that's a really, really good point. And now we've got DeMuslim going to be dropping down a keep in the middle of the map, and Sacred Sight's going to be going over towards Magic as well, so he's going to be dropping that one down. We'll take a look over towards the base of Magic, and actually he's gone for the Imperial Palace. Do we have potential Fire Lancers coming out right now? Oh my lord, look at the Fire Lancers coming out right. Look up towards the north, look at this right now. This is the dream right here for Iron Magic. He is going for it. Is he going to go for the sneaky snipe? Is that what he's going to do here?
His opponent is defended by Stonewall, so he can't just run in with the Fire Lancers. But Fire Lancers are all about one big charge. You charge in, and you can devastate your opponent's army. I think his game plan should be forcing one decisive fight in the middle, and then just breaking through that palisade on the front, running in, and then it's all about the slaughter. I love how he is playing this one. Very, very patient. The only problem he's facing is that he can't really mass a lot of those Fire Lancers simply because he is limited by population.
Yeah, that is going to be his biggest bet or biggest problem. He's sitting on 143 villages at the moment. I mentioned earlier, you know, it's about reaching that cap. Demuslim sitting at 131 at the moment. So he manages to reach that cap as well. Choku Nu going to be coming out. These haven't been upgraded at this point in time. So not going to be doing a whole lot of damage out here, but he's going to spot the Fire Lancers out. He's going to know that there's an elite upgrade as well. So the response now, speaking of response, it looks like in the middle of the map, we've got Iron Magic going to be pushing down on the nest of bees as they begin to fire off, trying to do as much damage as they can. You can see him falling back behind the walls, but it's not going to be too much effort for him to actually be slaying through that because the Fire Lancers have got that improved siege. The Bombards manages to survive, keeps 4 Bombards alive here. Springles on the backline going to get taken out by that castle as well. As the attacks continue now. Lidicor, jeez Louise.
That was a massive win there for Iron Magic. He just destroyed so many siege weapons that were left alone, and now his unit composition is absolutely stellar. You mentioned that there is 2 canoes. He's gonna clean up all those pikemen on the north. He has 1 sacred site. Behind this one, I think he was also collecting relics, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, he's sitting on 2, and you just feel like Iron Magic's got a lot of confidence over here. His map control is great, his unit composition is superb, so it's gonna be difficult for the Muslim, especially because spearmen are very inefficient when it comes to population. And one of the biggest resources missing right now for either player is population space. This being said, Iron Magic is sitting on 58 idols right now.
Oh my lord. Yeah, I feel like 58 idols is probably where you would maybe consider deleting villages. But I mean, each to their own. I mean, yeah, Magic, respect, dude, respect. Plenty of Bombards now beginning to come out onto the map. We see that the Fire Lancers do make their way through that smoke and dust and getting in on the back line. There's lots of Spears and Palace Guards that are out here hoping to defend them, but so much siege is out right now for Demuslim. It looks like he's going to be able to just burst through it. He's going to be absolutely fine.
He's gonna be fine. Those are just very, very powerful Bombards, and many of those Fire Lancers weren't attacking right from the beginning, so they eat a lot of damage. Looks like we still have some more Fire Lancers coming in, but here's where it gets interesting. Once you deplete the charge of those Fire Lancers, those will be really poor against those Spearmen, so it all comes down to the charge, and so far, he isn't really charging in, he's mostly just diving in on the siege weapons, but that means that he isn't charging the Spearmen, so Spears will have a very easy time cleaning them up.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you can see that one of those Bombards does go down now. He's beginning to focus down the second Bombard, but as you mentioned, you know, the Spears are doing just such a great job of cleaning it up, and the mass here continues to build for Demuslim at this point in time. He's looking incredibly good.
Look at the north.
Oh, no.
Look at the north.
Oh, he got through.
There's one bomb breaking through the walls, and as you said, there is going to be a snipe attempt here, but there's a second layer of walls here. The Muslim knows exactly that Iron Magic is dying here, and with those 5 Bombards, he could just steamroll him. It all comes down to a snipe attempt, but there's a hole!
There's a hole! There's a gap! He didn't spot the gap! Oh, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible right now. Demuslim going to be under significant threat as Magic begins searching for the production of his opponent. He spots out the barracks. Is he going to begin sieging those down, or does he look to go straight for the landmarks?
Does he have enough to go for landmarks, though? It's like 14 or so Fire Lancers against so many Elite Spearmen. I feel like this was one of those fights where the smoke was big, but the fire wasn't there, because those Fire Lancers shouldn't be able to snipe much over here. The Muslim reacted nicely here, but it definitely gave him some scary moments to see that hole.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I just want to say, like, the Bombards are just so good at base defense. They literally are just, like, one-shotting these Fire Lancers out here. It's kind of ludicrous, like the Fire Lancers are running around and the Bombards with their 12 range and their chemistry just sitting there. Like, I'm just going to one-shot you. I'm going to one-shot you. I'm going to one-shot you. And they just one-shot everybody.
And now the Fire Lancers are just unable to be massed over here. Magic is struggling with population. He's very, very low on the food department as well. And even though those Fire Lancers are rather cheaper, he's lacking production. Look at all those stables having 5 or 6 Fire Lancers queued up. he simply can't pop out enough Fire Lancers to fight this, trying to defend against those cannons with a Trebuchet, but he's now lacking map control, and I feel like that the Muslim just needs to push that dagger deep enough, and his opponent is gonna tap out, and the Muslim would go into the Grand Finals.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to be the case here. Magic continuing to hold on. We mentioned this earlier. Look at the Bombards, just how well they pick off these units. They try and come in, but the Bombards just shredding them apart. A couple of monks coming out as well. Going to be looking to just heal up the spears as they, well, not really do much, but Muslim just looking incredible at this point in time. Trebuchet continuing to move forward and try and defend the base from his opponent, but unfortunately Trebuchets are notoriously ineffective against units.
Absolutely, and the cost efficiency isn't really there for Iron Magic, especially because he's trying to snap down those Bombards with the Fire Lancer, so I don't think that he ever got a successful charge in. Spearmen are fairly fragile, so a good charge with Fire Lancers would decimate all those numbers, and he's actually massing a big force, but he needs to charge in on the spears first before engaging the cannon, I think.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ludicrous how strong these Bombards are. You know, I've talked about this plenty of times before. I genuinely think Bombards need a nerf. 50% HP, 20% extra range, 33% reduced reload time. They are incredibly strong. And on top of that, you can throw in other bonuses like the Yuan Dynasty, which gives them an extra movement speed bonus, or the Ming Dynasty, which gives them an extra health bonus on top of that. Villagers going to be coming out here trying to chase down these Bombards, but not going to be having a particularly good time. Villagers aren't particularly strong against Bombards, Lidakor.
Absolutely, although if there is no defense, you can take it down. Chad is indeed saying that it's difficult to charge in against the Spearmen, but it's not like you have any other option using Fire Lancers against Spears and Bombards, right? So, option A, you charge on the Spear, hoping that your opponent doesn't brace them, and you kill them and then you take down the Siege. Option B, you try to snap the Siege, but then you get slaughtered by the Spearmen. So, it might just come down to the fact that Fire Lancers won't work out well in the long run against that many Spearmen.
Muslim now beginning to mix in his own Fire Lancers. So Fire Lancer meta is one of those things. Magic looks, I was about to call him Magic again. Magic now going to be able to get on top of these Bombards. I think all these Bombards are probably going to be going down, but keep in mind those Spears still going to be on the back line, firing or poking down his enemy. More Fire Lancers now coming in. Elite upgrades coming through for both players now, as the Muslim actually got 3/3 upgrades on his units.
Both players do have the Imperial Palace available, which allows you to pop out the Imperial Spy's ability, and that shows all the villagers of the opponent to you. This could be very, very helpful for the Muslim, because he needs to know where to raid, and even though he didn't pop that, he's moving up to the north to get some raids going. Iron Magic could lose that Dale area very fast.
Yeah, he's going to be in a bit of trouble as those Fire Lancers come out. You can just see how quickly they deal damage to all those villagers. He's so smart as well, the way he uses his units. Comes in, takes out 9-10 villagers, and just gets straight out. He's utilized the charge, he's blown his load, and he just gets out. Now he's going to be coming back in again, once again with the charge, and then just gets straight out of there. He doesn't mess around, he doesn't muck around at all. Jeez Louise, he is so good.
He isn't even in the need to mess around there, because it's better to just run in, kill 10 villagers with the charge, disengage, and then go for the kill. But speaking of going for the kill, there goes the GG, and the Muslim takes down Iron Magic over here.
The Muslim is the winner. Incredible stuff from the Muslim. A 28-minute game there. Absolute incredible stuff. What was your highlight of this game?
Oh, it's difficult to tell, because it came down to very, very small details. The highlight definitely was the Fire Lancers running into the base of the Muslim.
Yep.
And if that was more than 14 Fire Lancers, let's say 25, 30, I would have been a little bit more scared if I was the Muslim. That was definitely the highlight of the game. But what it came down to is difficult to tell, because the two players were head-to-head for a long time, and I feel like it just came down to the fact that Iron Magic didn't have a big ball of Fire Lancers that could just take one decisive engagement. He always had small groups of Fire Lancers, but they were slowly just ground down by Spearmen.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was one of those things, and I guess for me, the big thing was watching that 2 TC Song Dynasty versus the 3 TC Song Dynasty. And we see, if you go check out the village account at the moment, you can see that the Muslim is, he starts out ahead of his opponent, but then Magic manages to get ahead. But by the time that he's ahead, you know, it's not really necessarily a meaningful advantage because, you know, sure, he's ahead for a small amount of time, but then the Muslim is able to come up to that same level that he is at and eventually overcome and overwhelm him because of that early pressure that he's got with the military out on the map.
Absolutely. And you did mention that you prefer the 2 TC Song Dynasty boom instead of a free town center play. And indeed, there was a little bit more flexibility here for the Muslim. He reached Imperial Age a tiny bit faster. He could start making Spearmen a little earlier, get those Bombards out early. So he had Siege going, he had Elite Spearmen going by the time his opponent already started making the Fire Lancers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, well, we might wrap this one up. If you're watching this one on YouTube, I'm going to leave a link in the description over to Lidakor. A big shout out goes over towards SteelSeries as well for hosting this event. It's been an absolute pleasure casting, and I'm looking forward to many more SteelSeries events. So if you're looking for a new keyboard, a new mouse, Lidakor, what brand should you get?
Well, depends on whether or not they sponsor more tournaments.
SteelSeries, don't worry about that guy. Everybody, SteelSeries, check them out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one, and we hope you've enjoyed this cast.